So let's talk about pay-as-you-throw and the principle in order to introduce it at municipal level and technologies related to it, and some opportunities in order to implement it in a proper way at municipal level. First of all, pay-as-you-throw refers to the general polluter pays principle. The one who generates more waste has to pay more, because more waste means more pollution. But let me talk about some points of view in order to go into deeper details. If the polluter has to pay, is it true that one can pollute if he pays? Or in other words, is it allowed to pollute by paying? This is a good question, and most importantly, does everyone has all the instruments in order not to pollute? An additional thing, those who don't pollute get back the money of the polluters or just simply pay less? And most importantly, is it really necessary to measure with money our environmental behaviors? These are the key questions that I wanted to tell you. Saying that, it is true that pay-as-you-throw in Europe is quite spread. There are some member states that have implemented it at a nationwide, like Germany, Austria, and more recently some that passed the regulation in order to implement it sooner. For what are we going to pay as you throw? First of all, the first objective of pay as you throw is to reduce the variability that we have. In a sample of population, for sure we have people who recycle more and people who don't recycle at all. And this variability is higher when you don't have pay as you throw. As soon as you implement it, you will have reduced variability and improvement of good behaviors. So you will have individual savings for those people who generate high amount of residual waste and want to reduce and improve their behavior, and probably a less improvement in those who already generate low. So the objective is to give a fairer tax, improve habits, and most importantly, to sensitize and give individual feedbacks. So it's more individual savings than collective savings. For sure, pay-as-you-throw helps to introduce source separation, help to increase source separation up to incredible levels like those you are seeing here in Contarina in Veneto. They are separately collecting 85% of municipal waste by using pay-as-you-throw. And also to reduce residual waste up to very low levels of 55 kilograms per capita and year, which is nearly zero waste. It also allows to reduce total waste generation, so not only residual waste, but also the total amount of waste, taking into account that some bad behaviors may happen, like littering or waste migration towards surrounding municipalities. But the most important thing is that it is a useful tool to communicate directly with citizens. So, in other words, to let them be aware about their waste generation. How to measure waste? This is quite tricky. We will have to introduce minimal conditions like identify the generators, measure the amount of waste generated, and to have an individual waste tax. Basically, this is the scheme for pay-as-you-throw schemes. We can identify the user or we can identify the container, and let's see some case studies. In Germany, they use to identify the user by letting them pay per bin with a fixed frequency. They just choose the schedule once per week, every 2 weeks, and then they pay accordingly. They can also, there is another scheme that is applied by individual counting of bins, putting a sticker on it, or using RFID transponders in order to measure every individual delivery. In collective systems like Bring Banks systems, we can have the possibility of measuring individual delivery by using a card and locked access containers, like this one with chamber systems. Also, you can have identification of the bin and the weight of the bin on the vehicles in some case studies. But one interesting case study is to use residual waste bags and to let citizens pay by bags. by using standard bags that may include labels or RFID tags. This has been possible because technology has developed, and now RFID tags are really cheap. This is one case study in which every single bag has an individual tag, and it is counted when delivered on the vehicle by an antenna. So what do we measure? We measure basically most of the time residual waste, because it's the one that pollutes, it contaminates. But there may be problems if it's just a minor fraction, because it's really a low amount in some municipality with high recycling. In other case, you can let citizens pay for bio-waste with a reduced tax, or even light packaging or other recyclables. Do we have only to pay as you throw? Actually not. There is a fixed part of the waste management service that is related to the basic component that cannot be neglected, like the management of the recycling center and so on. So there is always a basic fixed part and a variable part that can be even introduced without measuring waste, just simply relating it to the number of people living in the household, or even giving a free number of deliverable of waste included in the waste tax. So the real variable part may be even low. When to start with pay-as-you-throw? Is it absolutely important before thinking about pay-as-you-throw to rethink about the collection model and to all the tools the citizens have in order to separate waste at home? Because otherwise it's not feasible to let them pay for a service that they just don't perceive. Especially thinking about waste collection scheme in different areas. There are some false myths, like curbside collection not possible in very dense areas. This is the city of Milan, where curbside collection is possible and it works very well. And finally, let me say, is it really necessary to introduce pay-as-you-throw? Like to provoke the audience, I would like to say that only by monitoring without pay-as-you-throw and let citizens be aware that they are being monitored, they just begin to change their habit, increasing recycling. This is kind of psychological effect to be kept into account. And finally, maybe it's better to give individual good feedbacks, like, okay, you have been good this week, you have delivered recycled waste very well, rather than having them pay for it. And this individual measurement and tools can achieve these results. Thank you.